Today I'm going to share with you how I built the storage shelves for my Stanley boxes. Welcome to another episode of All Things Woodworking. I'm your host, Aaron. I've provided additional information in the description. Please leave a comment on what videos you'd like to see next. Make sure you like, subscribe, and share if you enjoy what you see. What I'm going to do tomorrow is do a remodel in the house. I'm going to take out a wall between two bedrooms, make one big room, so my wife has a larger quilting room. And it's going to require me to do some plumbing. And in order to do that, I need to find the plumbing fittings. Okay, so I found the plumbing fittings. All of my spare parts from the remodel work I do is right here. But as you can see, it's a pain to get to. I'm gonna fix that. Tomorrow when I'm picking up sheetrock and other supplies for the remodel, I'm gonna pick up some plywood and build a cabinet for these things to go in to make this much easier in the future. The night before off camera, I cut the plywood down to 14-inch strips to get a good start on the project. Now that I have all the shelves cut, I'm getting ready to cut the sides. So I just need to change my stop. Currently what I'm using for a stop right now is just a piece of MDF. And we'll continue to do that until I rebuild the cabinets and put a new top on. Then I'll go ahead and put a fancy fence on it with stops on it. Since the making of this project, I've gone ahead and purchased 20 sheets of Baltic birch plywood and going to go ahead and start replacing the drawers as I have some spare time to rebuild this entire center. Okay, I have the table saw all set up for the next operation. Just wanted to point out a couple things that I did. One, I put a adjustable dado in the table saw and set it for 3/4. Did a test cut, and it fits in real snug. So my dado is going to be good. I want to leave 4.5 inches for the box to slide in and out of. So the bottom and the top are actually going on the top edge of each side. So that's why I don't have a dado at the very bottom. And so this fits snug, it's tight. Have my miter set up. Now what I did is for this first one, I set it up like this. And so it's 4.5 inches from the edge of this. This is 3/4, so I set the table saw to 5 1/4. I remove this and then run it across. With having a long piece like this, you really don't want to bind up the saw, and cutting as much material as I am, I'm cutting a 1/4 inch dado, don't want to have it kick back on me. So I went ahead and did that. The other thing I noticed is I don't use a miter very often. I normally use my chop saw. One of the things I noticed is there is some play in this, but I have it set up to where if I have if I have it set all the way this direction, in other words, there's slop here, if I have it over this way, it's perfectly square. Okay, so you can see over here, you know, it's perfectly square, so it's turning out good, but I just don't care for the fact that this has slop in it. It's just one more thing that you have to be careful of as you're cutting, because the other thing you don't want to do is have your board slide on you to where, you know, you start here, and even though if this was square, it'll cut at an angle because the board is slowly moving in on you. Not by a lot, but just a little bit. It makes your shelf uneven. All right, I've changed my setup a little bit. I was gonna go ahead and try to get through this project without building a sled, and I still don't consider that this is a permanent sled. This is just something I threw together in about a half hour, 40 minutes. And so what I've done is I've attached this to the miter gauge with screws here and here. And then I've tore apart another jig that I had and put these in. That way it'll hold it down, and I'm not going to get that board sliding. It's just between the length of the board, you know, the depth of the cut, the width of the cut. There was just too much going on. And I did a test cut, and this is actually, you know, feels much safer also. So it'll be more accurate and safer. Since the making of this project, I've added a couple new tools to the shop. One is a nice miter sled. The second one is a new table saw. So both those you'll be seeing in upcoming videos. Okay, so I've got the sides cut and also the shelves, and I'm going to go ahead and start assembly. Before I do, I'm going to just take some 80 grit paper, and I'm just going to run it around the edges of the dado, just real quick to get any loose wood off there, and also kind of give it just a little bit of a bevel. Make the shelf slide in here. The other thing I'm going to do is just mark, it's about 1 1/8 in from each dado, because that's where I'm going to put the screw at. The other thing I did was I marked the top with an X, or just a real quick mark on it. And the reason I did that is because as I was cutting through, I ran them all through the same direction. And so if I'm off just a little bit going at my 4.5 inch gap from one side to the other, at least they'll line up if I always keep the top of the board to the top. And that way I don't have one going one direction, one going the other, and you might end up with a little bit of a slanted shelf. Then I'm going to do the same thing with the shelves. I'm going to take just a little bit. Just breaking the sharp edge to make it go into the dado a little bit easier. Put a little bit of glue in there to help hold the unit together. Still going to put screws in each side. So this is my X for the top, so I'm also putting the good side towards the top also. Using this jig in order to make sure that everything's square, because once I get it screwed in and it's glued, it will be very difficult to square it up, where if I do it now, it's not that hard. After I finished the third shelf unit, I started working on attaching them together to make it one solid unit. Now that they're one solid unit, I went ahead and attached the top. All right, so now time to turn it over on its top and get the bottom on. Okay, so I made the bottom out of the scraps. I was able to get one piece to span two of them, and then a second piece to span this last one. So I had a piece of scrap that I didn't even have to cut down as far as width goes, because again, I just want to bring it up off the floor. It didn't really matter to me how much, and so then I went ahead and cut these to length. So that you're looking at the back side of this right now. And then I just took some scrap and cut the length this way to block back in here. So now I'm just going to go ahead and screw it all together. All right, well that's a wrap for this project. I think it turned out great. I have plenty of room for my storage. I have room to expand. It's very organized now. I have my guitar parts here, some wood screws, some miscellaneous parts, all my turning stuff here, and then just all my construction type fittings and nails and that type of stuff here for the air guns and that type of stuff. So it's very well organized. I don't have to dig through stuff now, so I'm ecstatic. I think it's a great addition to the shop. Eventually I'll get the live edge on the top. I'll put the outlet through here. If you remember, I have an outlet on this wall. So it's just a matter of bringing it up into the live edge when I put that on. And I had a shelf here. I went ahead and took it down because it's no longer needed. And then I'm going to go ahead and wrap the windows at some point. So, but thank you for watching. And if you enjoyed the video, please like and share and subscribe. Thank you.